Shane Robert Watson, born the 17th of June 1981, is an Australian former cricketer and occasional captain in all formats, who has played for Australia's national cricket team. He is a right-hand batsman and a right-hand fast-medium swing bowler who played international cricket between 2002 and 2016. He was the world's #1 T20 all-rounder for 150 weeks, including a record of 120 consecutive weeks. The 13th of October 2011, the 30th of January 2014. He was the last player to retire from Australia's golden era of the early 2000s. Watson holds several records in T20s, ODIs, and T20s. According to Forbes, Watson was the highest-paid non-Indian cricketer in the world for 5 consecutive years between 2011 and 2015. On the 2nd of November 2020, he announced his retirement from all forms of cricket. Shane Watson was an AIS Australian Cricket Academy scholarship holder. In 2000, he started his first-class cricketing career for Tasmania after leaving his home state of Queensland, but returned to play for his ODI debut on tour. Watson continued as a regular member of the ODI team until he suffered 3 stress fractures in his back at the start of 2003, missing the 2003 Cricket World Cup. He returned to regular ODI duty in the 2004-05 season, like a bowling all-rounder. He also made his Test debut in the 3rd Test against Pakistan as the 5th bowler, to allow Australia to play 2 spinners and 3 pace bowlers on a dry Sydney cricket ground pitch. Watson played against the ICC World 11 in the role, but he dislocated his shoulder in just his 2nd Test in that designated role against the West Indies, after diving to field a ball. This changed when Watson opened the batting for Australia at the 2006 ICC Champions Trophy. After failing in the first 2 matches, Watson made a 50 in Australia's victory over India, which sealed their place in the semi-finals. He then took 2 wickets and scored 57 not out in the finals to seal the win. In the 2009 ICC Champions Trophy, held in South Africa, Watson again made 2 consecutive 100s against England and New Zealand in the semi-final and final. He returned to the Australian Test side for the 3rd Ashes Test match at Edgerton on the 30th of July 2009 as an opener. In a rain-interrupted match, he made 62 and 53 batting alongside Simon Katich. He scored his 2nd highest Test score of 96 against the West Indies in the 2nd Test in Adelaide in December 2009. In the 3rd Test, he made 89 in another century in the 1st Test against Pakistan. He made 93 runs on Boxing Day and featured in his 3rd century stand-in as many matches with Katich, but was run out. On day 4, Watson finally made his first Test 100, which came in an interesting style, by hitting the ball hard to the fielder at the point who put the catch down. In the first Test of Australia's 2010 tour of India, Watson opened his account with his 2nd Test century, an attentional 126 runs off 338 balls on a slow, low Mohali pitch. He top-scored again in the 2nd innings with a run-able 56. During this period as an opener, he had the highest Australian Test batting average, 50.40, for 2 calendar years, 2009 and 2010. On the 30th of March 2011, Watson was named Test and ODI vice-captain. On the 11th of April 2011, he made 185 not out off 96 balls against Bangladesh. Watson made several records in this match, which include most sixes, the highest score by an Australian batsman, fastest 150, most runs from boundaries. During 2010 to 2013, he won a series of Australian Player of the Year awards. Before the start of the 2012 ICC World 2020, Australia was ranked only 10th in the world. After 2 stages of the tournament, Australia was placed at 6th. Much of this success was due to an in-form Shane Watson. In the first match against Ireland, Watson opened the bowling and took 3-26. He then scored 51 from 30 balls to help his side win the match in 15.1 overs. He was named man of the match. In the next match against the West Indies, he again took 2-29 from 4 overs. He then scored 41 not out from 24 balls to win the man of the match. Against India, he was used as a second change bowler and took 3-34. Against South Africa, he took 2-29, following it up with 70 from 47 balls. Watson had subsequently flown back to Australia due to the birth of his first child. Watson returned to the team for the 4th and final test of the series and captained the test side for the only time in his career. After the tour, Watson resigned as vice-captain. In the 2015 World Cup, he helped Australia reaching the finals, scoring 67 against Sri Lanka and 64 against Pakistan, as Australia went on to win the tournament. On the 31st of January 2016, Watson was named T20I captain and became one of the few Australians to captain in all formats. He opened the innings after a long gap and scored 124*, which made several records. He retired from international cricket in 2016 and became the last player to retire from Australia's golden era of the early 2000s. In November 2019, he was elected as the president of the Australian Cricketers Association. Watson signed with Australian Big Bash League franchise Sydney Thunder in 2015. In 2016, Watson was announced as one of the icon players for the first season of the Pakistan Super League. He played for Islamabad United initially, moving to Quetta Gladiators in subsequent seasons. 2020 internationally, the number 1 ICC ranking position for a record 150 weeks, including a record 120 consecutive weeks. The 13th of October 2011, the 30th of January 2014. First player to have held the number 1 ranking in both the batting and all-rounder category. The only player to score a century and have taken 4 wickets in an innings. The first player to score 100 and take a wicket in the same T20I. Most wickets, 6s by an Australian. One-day international fastest Australian to score 5,000 runs and take 150 wickets. Highest ODI score and most 6s in an innings by an Australian. Bradman Young Cricketer of the Year, 2002. Australian ODI Player of the Year, 2010, 2011, 2012. Australian 2020 Player of the Year, 2012, 2013, 2017. Australian Test Player of the Year, 2011. Allan Border Medal, 2010, 2011. McGillivray Medal 2010. Watson is married to broadcaster Lee Furlong. They have 2 children. In 2017, Watson launched a sports clinic, Let's Activate, for children. It teaches the basics of sports skills using songs, movement, dance, and sports activities.